A very warm welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 15th April 2020. Day is Wednesday. I would like to start our discussion with this 4 lines. For every ailment under the sun, there is a remedy or there is none. If there be one, try to find it. If there be none, never mind it. We all go through various different challenges, various different problems in various different phases of our life. I'm not saying that we are constantly living under a problem, but sometimes we do face some sort of problems. Now, there are a few problems for which you will find a solution. And to find a solution, you have to try, isn't it? You have to try to find a solution. And after giving your best, if you cannot find a solution, then you have to accept that problem. This is a very important thing. Henry Ford used to say that when I can't handle events, I let them handle themselves. So there are a few problems for which there is no remedy at present. You may find it later on, maybe after 2 years, or maybe after 6 months, or maybe after a few weeks. You will find a solution for it. But you have to sometimes accept some inevitable things as well. And when you accept inevitable problems or inevitable challenges, then 50% of job is done. We have accepted a problem. That means now we know that this is going to stay with us for a bit of time. So whatever energies that we have, we will utilize it for doing the best we can, isn't it? So think about it. With this difference, we have some interesting articles on our table. But before that, I have a good news for you. We have launched a mobile app. And on our mobile app, we have launched UPSC IAS Smart Course. It is available for pre as well as mains. And the good news is that you can get it with easy EMI. To find out more about it, the best thing is to download our app, right? It is a very user-friendly app. With this difference, on our table, the first important and the most important article of the day is this one. Economic liberalisation and its fault. Very important article. I think you will find a question in your mains examination based on this thing, right? So what or how the question can be framed, we'll talk about it when we'll discuss this article. Then we are going to talk about this editorial. It's about lockdown. Then we have one article written by former health secretary. Then we have a technical article. When I say technical, I mean to say this article is talking about some specific details about this invasive alien species, coronavirus and other things. And then we will talk about corona bonds. This one is about European Union. Then you have two articles. This one is about South Korea. Now, dear friends, regular students, you know it very well. We have talked about South Korea many times. What South Korea did, it basically... South Korea was testing, and in fact it is now as well, it is testing so many people, and this is one of the main reason why without a lockdown it was able to control this coronavirus. So the most interesting thing at present is that South Korea is going for an election, right? So that's quite interesting. So that's basically, a sort of summary of this article. So if you have extra time, you can go through it. You can read it once, but as far as your examination is concerned, you won't find anything that different in this article. Then we have another article, and this one is about rumors. What are the ingredients of a rumor? What are the things that you need, how a rumor takes place, and how it is, emotions are used and things like that. So it's an article. Of course, it is talking about some technical things about rumor. But I would reckon you guys to go through it just once, and it will be more than enough for you. It's basically about your basic understanding, right? So let's crack on. To download the PDF of today's lecture, you know that you have to join my Telegram channel lecture. If you think that this lecture is worth it, then please don't forget to share it with other students. Hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So the most important article of the day, economic liberalization and its faults. It was back in 1991, 1992 when India went ahead with LPG. When I say LPG, I'm talking about liberalization, privatization and globalization, commonly known as economic reforms of 1991, right? Economic reforms of 1991. I'm sure you might have read about this thing. If not, if you don't know what it is all about, then let me be very precise and clear here that Before 1991, we used to produce things, the items that we used to get here in our country was made in India only. If you want to buy something like, let's say, television set, then you have to import it, right? So this was the situation. We used to import all those things that we were not able to produce here. So it was decided that we should open our economy for global players. We should allow them to come here, invest here, and manufacture their products over here, so that we can have more options here. We can get good products over here. We can create jobs for our people, because when these big companies, they will come from USA, UK, France, and other developed world, Australia and other places, when they will invest crores and crores or billions of dollars in our country as a foreign direct investment, when they will set up their manufacturing factories or set up over here, this will create jobs for us, and we'll get more. Our local manufacturers, they will get a tough competition from these global products. So this will create a sort of pull and push effect for our local manufacturers, so that they will also, they will enter into a competition, and to survive, they have to improve themselves. This will improve our manufacturing capacities and things like this. So there are so many positive things associated with economic liberalization, but there are a few negative things as well, and these negative things are quite visible at present. We are going to talk about it in detail. I think for next at least 10 minutes we are going to talk about this topic. So I'm going to cover everything. So just bear with me for a few more minutes. Now, for Western world, this was a new thing. It's called business process outsourcing. So if you can, it all started back in late 1980s. So if you can produce a thing, let's say, if you can produce a car in India, or let's say in China, and if you can get the same quality that you can, if you are producing a, let's say, luxurious British car, if you can get the same quality in China, if a car that you are producing in England, if it will cost you, let's say, £50,000, and if you can get it done in China for £25,000, then it's best that you can to get it done in China and sell that item for £60,000 in UK and other countries. So you can earn huge amount of profit. So this was the main idea, right? You get cheap labor in Asia, you get raw material and other things, you can set up your factory, you can have government on your side, and you can get your rules and regulations and everything. At the same time, the Western world was also aware about this massive pollution. And if there will be environmental pollution, then that will be in Asian poor countries and not in our countries. So this led to the birth of global supply chains. And the global supply chain was quite decentralized, but then later on it became centralized. Everything started moving towards China, right? Earlier on, there used to be some parts that were produced in Europe, and some parts were made in China, and they were assembled in China and things like that. But now most of the items, right, are produced in just one location, and that is China. So because of this centralization of manufacturing in just China, I hope you are getting me right. So earlier on, let me tell you that item number 1 was produced here, number 2 was produced here, number 3 was produced here, right? So this was the situation earlier on. But now 1, 2, 3 is produced in China, and all these things are assembled, and a new product is also made in China. So this is what centralization of production. This is what I mean when I say centralization of production. And this is quite visible in APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients, PPEs, medical devices, and other things. And this is the main reason why UK Prime Minister has asked England's manufacturer to produce ventilators, because so far they used to import ventilators from China. USA has invoked the Defense Production Act of 1950, and this gives the government of USA the power to ask any factory, to any company, to produce the things that are required by the government of USA. A French health minister stated that the country may nationalize vaccine companies if necessary. Spain has already nationalized all private hospitals. All these things, if you see indirectly, these things are the product of their decisions. The decision to transfer everything, your manufacturing capabilities, your factories and everything to China. or overseas. And this sort of situation, when you have this sort of epidemic, you don't have anything. You don't have that capacity to produce these things locally. So you have to rely on China. And if China is under lockdown, then your people will die, your people will suffer. And this is the situation through which most of the countries are going through at present. Now, see this indirect show of power. Chinese billionaire Jack Ma. Can you give me the name of the company with which Jack Ma is or was associated with? Stick your answer in the comment section right now. With this, dear friends, Jack Ma has sent a flight containing 5.4 million face masks, kit of 1.08 million detection tests, 40,000 sets of protective clothing, and 60,000 protective face shields to USA. Can you believe one individual is sending this many items to USA? Because manufacturing is local over there, isn't it? This is a big advantage, in favor of China. This situation also exposes the poor state of preparedness and dependence on imports for essential goods required to meet the challenge of any major disease outbreak. Now, coming to your general studies question, right? You can find a question in your mains examination that may ask you to explain demerits of liberalization, privatization, or globalization, or demerits of economic reforms of 1991. What are the demerits, right? And apart from other demerits, the biggest one that we are facing at present is that government's incapacity to get credible information. Under license Raj, I'm not saying that we should go with license Raj. I'm not saying that there are no benefits of LPG at all. But there are a few negative things as well. Most of the time we pay too much attention to the positive sides and we have ignored, and this is something that is quite visible now, that we have totally ignored this negative side. So if we would be under license Raj, then under license Raj what happens is that the government will have all those important information about your production. For example, if you are a medical company, if you are a pharmaceutical company, then government would be aware about your production capacity, each and every detail about your production, which types of medicines you are producing and other things will be available with government, isn't it? At present, this is not the case. Government will be aware about a few of your things, like which medicines you are making, but your capacity and other things, you have to inquire. And that's what happened at present, that government conducted a few meetings with this various different companies, and this took a bit of time. So under license Raj, or the negative thing or the demerit of this system, economic liberalization, is that government is not able to have credible information, and without information you cannot make informed policy choices. So this is point number one for you to understand. Second thing, manufacturing capabilities of health products. Now, I have already explained you guys about this situation of USA, France, UK, Spain, but there are a few more things that I would like to add here. For example, APIs. We have been talking about this thing, and you know that 70% of our APIs we imported from China. Rest of them comes from countries like Italy, USA, etc. It all started back in late 1990s. I think it was in 1999, if I'm not wrong. Somewhere in 1999 or late 90s. Government thought that it is best not to produce, government created a policy that policy basically promoted this idea that rather than producing API over here, it is much better to produce API, or it is much better to import APIs. So that's what we did. And for a very long period of time, we are thoroughly dependent on China for API. Same thing goes with a thing called reagents. Reagents is a particular important chemical, and it is used for testing. Now, one of the main reasons why one test in our country costs 4,500 rupees is because we are totally 100% dependent on this reagents, and this comes from China as well. And this is one of the main reasons, like, we are not able to test this many people, because we have to rely on this important material, all right? This important items we have to import it, and this is the reason Why still we are not able to test that many people? So, these are the two most important points as far as this negative side of this LPG or this economic reforms are concerned. There are a few more things I would like to add, one or two things, and then we will move ahead. One thing is environment, destruction of our natural environment. We have destroyed our environment for profits, and we are not going to get it back ever. I still remember the case of Bangladesh. Bangladesh, they have this ship breaking industry over there. And because of this ship breaking industry, so many people are suffering from so many various different, diseases in Bangladesh, particularly those people who are laborers, who are physically engaged in breaking a ship. So there are so many chemicals that get released, and it is polluting their rivers and their sea waters and so many things. But still, it is going on for a very long period of time. So this is one thing: destruction of environment, human health. At the same time, we were inclined, or this thing was going on, that we need to attract more and more companies in our country, more business, and we have cheap labor. What we were offering is cheap labor. But we have tweaked rules and regulations in such a way that our cheap labor, or our people, right, they have never enjoyed social security net. This global companies, let me tell you, I'm not saying each and every global company is a culprit or a criminal, but there are a few big names and few examples. If you go through case studies and other things, then you will find these companies, they strictly follow rules and regulations in their country, in Western world. But when it comes to Asia and countries like India and Bangladesh and other countries, they don't care even if small kids are working in their factories, right? These are the things. So they are like, they have like this double game. They are when they come over here, they have no rules and regulations. Where when they are operating in their developed nations, they have rules and regulations. So this has created an army of unorganized laborers in our country. So this is also a big problem. So these are the things, right? I hope things are clear to you. Think about it, dear friends. This is one of the most important article of today's The Hindu analysis. Then moving on to next item, a narrowing window. It's about lockdown 2.0. I'm sure you are aware about this thing, that now the lockdown is extended till 3rd May 2020. Now the main job of government is to think about a plan, right? We have a very small window. We have limited time till 3rd May. So how we are going to exit this coronavirus-led lockdown? This is the most important question. Prime Minister also talked about this, incentivizing areas, that if there are a few areas, if they are able to control this coronavirus outbreak, then they will get a little bit of freedom to come out starting from 20th May. Beg your pardon, starting from 20th April, not May, of course, 20th April. But still, we have to wait and watch. More details will be provided by government today. That's what the Prime Minister said. Now, one thing that we have to understand, that I don't think so we will be able to extend this lockdown after 3rd May. So we have to find a solution as quickly as possible. We have limited time. And we have to provide more food donations, other sort of money and other sort of help to poor people. There are so many poor people in our country. They are not able to get the benefits that are declared by, or the economic package or welfare packages that are declared by Finance Ministry or Government of India or various different state governments. So we need to work more rigorously and with a speed, with a pace in this area as well. We should create a system where people can register themselves online for this PDS system. And the third article is about the same thing, and we are going to talk about, means this article is taking these items to another level. So let's crack on. Now this article is written by former Health Secretary of our country, and he's saying that India did quite well, starting from, in initial period itself, we applied some sort of restrictions on the entry of people coming from China and Southeast Asian countries, but then we got a few cases from Italy and other places as well. Now, lockdown has definitely confined the pool of infected persons to their homes. So this has worked, of course. Health Ministry has said this thing, I think 1 or 2 days ago, that if we have not applied lockdown on our country, then by today, that is by 15th April, India would have witnessed some 8.2 lakh cases. So thank God to this lockdown that we have saved. We are somewhere around 10,000 plus at present, which is, I'm not saying that we should take it lightly, but it's far better than countries like Switzerland, countries like Italy. Switzerland is not that much in news, but it is in big trouble as well. USA, and there are other countries, as you know it very well. So the aftermath of the lockdown, when they will start moving out, will pose enormous challenges. What will happen when these people, infected people, when they will step out of their house after 3rd May? We have to understand this thing, and this is one of the most important point been said by former health secretary, that remember, despite the best response, the epidemic will not be going away for all time to come. It is going to stay here. So we need to have a clear, thorough, well attention to detail, this sort of plan. This is a novel virus. This coronavirus is a novel coronavirus, isn't it? Novel basically means it's a new one. So people, we don't have any sort of immunity to protect ourselves from this virus. So the best thing that we can do is we can prevent this virus as much as possible. If someone gets affected, then care and support should be provided. For that, we need material for tools for our medical personnel, like masks for general public, as well as protective gear for our medical personnel. At the same time, we need to increase our capacity of ventilators and other things, and we need to do more tests as well. We have to identify those people who are affected by it. Some of them, they may not display any sort of symptoms, so we have to be a bit careful about that thing as well. We need trained counselors that can ease this pressure on doctors and nursing staff, and they can also counsel. They can provide these counseling services to those affected families. And as far as families are concerned, if there is any family, if all members of that particular family are infected by this virus, then we need to provide them home delivery facilities and other things in a very safe environment. And it should be made clear that stigmatization, attaching stigma to them is not going to help us. We have to, means it's not their fault. Right, this is a viral infection, so they are not criminals. So we have to help them. Of course, government should create a sort of, responsible citizens, or NGOs can come out and they can provide this food and other important items to these families who are infected, so that they can survive indoors, and we can control this virus as well. It is high time that rapid testing is introduced. For that, we need, as you know it very well, we were talking about this reagents. Remember, for that we will need this reagents, and without that, things are not going to move ahead. If we connect a few articles, then we get a big picture about the problems and good things and bad things about this whole situation. So rapid test kits are the need of the hour. At the same time, government should utilize corporate social responsibility, CSR funds, as well as NGOs, so that we can help our poor people, right, laborers and other people who are stuck at various different places. And one of the most important thing, the fight against COVID-19 can only be won when we get a preventive care or a therapeutic drug on hand. These are the only two things. Either we need a preventive vaccine or we need a therapeutic drug on hand. Then only we would be able to control this COVID-19. Moving on to invasive alien, most fearsome. This one is talking about some technical specific this field-based knowledge about this whole coronavirus. As we know that, I'll give you best example, right? Invasive alien species. Just imagine that this is wildlife here, and this is our society, right? There is a border. So on this border you have this species or a thing called Y, and human beings are, let's say, Z, and then you have this sort of alien species or this destructive viruses, they are X. So on this border of wildlife and human life, there is this Y that will control this X. So X cannot exit this circle because Y is right there at border protecting. But many a times what happens is that Z will easily enter, and then Z will carry X and come back to this Z zone, right? I'm giving my own name to this whole thing, but this is for your understanding. I hope things are getting clear rather than confusion. So this Z, or human beings, we will enter into wild arena, and we will bring this X back with us in our world, and then we don't have any Ys to control it, and that's what has happened here with SARS-CoV-2 or coronavirus. And for this sort of invasive alien species, as far as they are in their own native location, they are safe. But when they are out from their circle or their cocoon, they will destroy our economical, ecological, as well as our health. So that's what has happened so far, right? And for this virus, every individual body is a sort of landscape. Now we have to understand this thing that this viruses, this invasive species, can grow and reach the reproductive stage, and we need to control them before they reach their reproductive rate of the virus, which is called RO, is quite in news as well. And RO is a critical value in cases of all invasive alien species. If it is less than 1, then that's fine. It will fade away or it will vanish without becoming an epidemic. But if it is more than that, then this can create more and more. It will encourage, or it will create an environment where it will this virus will reproduce, or it will reach a reproductive stage, and that is dangerous. So far, this virus has infected 1.9 million people. It has killed more than 1 lakh people. And as I told you already, this article is talking about this field-specific knowledge. If you go through this article, you will find things that are more important, or they are easy to understand for people who are from medical field. But anyway, I have explained the best or the most of the general studies related points of this article. Few positives. Because of this lockdowns, we have seen carbon emission has dropped. Nitrogen dioxides emissions in northern Italy, Spain, UK have faded as well. And air quality has improved in various different parts, including our Delhi. Moving on to the last one, Corona bonds. This one is about Eurozone finance ministers. They are thinking about a big emergency rescue package of 540 billion euros. Eurozone finance ministers have also decided about an emergency credit line in a fortnight. They will come out with it. European investment banks' lending capacity will be boosted. And European Commission's $100 billion, €100 billion unemployment insurance scheme will be rolled out in forthcoming future. But now there is a tussle as well going on. There are a few countries like France, Italy, Spain. These are the most affected countries, and they are asking for more help. Like there are countries like Netherlands. Right, Netherlands is not happy with this sort of help. It is saying that this is your problem. It's not a sort of problem of EU. Of course, the language is not the same, but that's what is happening, right? Every country is trying to save their own back, and particularly northern countries, right? Northern countries, they are more rich. So these northern countries, they are saying that why we should give, or why we should spend money after your disease, right? We need to look after our own back. So this European solidarity is also coming under pressure. And I think yesterday or a few days ago, I told you about this thing that Italy may also exit this European Union. So a big challenge on, or you can say pressure is mounting on European solidarity as well. Now, but this is news items. So first one is Prime Minister extended this lockdown till 3rd May, tougher restrictions at hotspots. And he has also talked about 7 key points. You can go through these 7 key points from this lines here, or you can go through a video made by my colleague Anirudh. He came out with this video last night about this 7 points by Prime Minister, the things that we need to do. Then you can see here the biggest spike was 1,235 cases in one day. That was on 13th April. On 14th, we have clocked 787 new cases. Very sad. With this difference, good news is that 1,000 plus patients, they have recovered as well. This is a very bad scenario here. I don't know who is motivating this people to come out on street, but whoever he or she or that organization is, they're doing very bad, right? This is not something that we want, right? Government is also trying, and people should also understand that help and everything will reach to you, but we have to stay indoors. We cannot come out in this big numbers. Then we have a very encouraging story coming from this news item. A small girl child, she raised 6.2 lakh rupees for the needy. Care Ona, that's the name of her campaign. So hats off to this little girl. USA approves 2 missiles deals with India. So please go through these details as well. India got 15 million PPE kits from China. Now, you know, this sort of items, you will see it from LPG point of view, isn't it? Migrant workers in Surat take to streets again. This is very sad. And in Bihar, if you spit tobacco here and there, then you will end up in jail as well. Virus infection have certainly not peaked yet, warns WHO, and things are very bad in Spain, Austria, Britain, France, and other countries, and US as well. And then you have this questions on your screen. So please, dear friends, download the PDF and go through these questions and answer post your answer in the comment section, and hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll see you soon with daily financial news analysis. God bless you all. Jai Hind.